Assalamualaikum and salam sejahtera. Welcome to Madam Nik's class. Alright, so Madam Nik, want to share with you a template, called Classify It. Which we designed this template, to help the student of FAR160 or Financial Accounting 2 or Faculty of Accountancy UiTM. Because students in FAR160, they are introduced to publish financial statements. So this format are very new to them, but they already have the knowledge on the classification of the items. So we would like to show to the student how to connect the previous knowledge that they have acquired in the previous semester. By using that knowledge, they are able to prepare publish financial statements. As long as they know how to classify the items correctly into the accounting classification of asset, equity, liability, revenue, and expense. So let me introduce you to the template. So the first thing that you may see, on top of the template, we have name of the company. So all you have to do is to fill in the name of the company and also the closing date. That's it. And then all the transactions identified in the question, you list them here, in the transaction. For example, sales, purchase, cost of sale, all accounts that you may find from the trial balance, together with their amounts. And then from there, you are going to classify the transaction, into asset, or equity, or liability, or revenue, or expense. So let's say, for example, you want to classify the transaction as asset, so you choose asset. And then for sub classification, after you have classified the items, still you have to decide on the sub classification. Because why? Because the format of the statement would require you to specify the asset as non-current asset or current asset. So you have to know whether it is a long-term asset or short-term asset. So let's say, for example, it is a non-current asset. For non-current asset, we have different categories of non-current asset. We have property, plant and equipment, intangible asset, or investment. And related to non-current asset is the accumulated depreciation, because at the end of the day, when you want to calculate the carrying amount of non-current asset, we are going to deduct its accumulated depreciation from the cost of non-current asset. So because of that, any accumulated depreciation identified from the list of balances in the trial balance, you have to classify them as asset, non-current asset, and then for the details you choose accumulated depreciation. If let's say, for example, the transaction is to be classified as equity. So for equity, so what are the elements of equity? So in equity, for published company, we have share capital and we have reserve. For FAR160, we introduce you to a very limited item of equity. What we have here are ordinary share capital, preference share capital, general reserve, and retained earnings, and that's it. Let's say, for example, you choose that as ordinary share capital. Because of the requirements in the statement of changes in equity, where you have to provide details of the transaction, because of that, so you have to decide whether the amount that you have entered, is it an opening balance, is it an issuance of shares, is it a bonus issue, or is it a share buyback. So let's say you decide that it is an opening balance. If it is an equity, for preference shares, it would be the same. You have to decide on the details of the of the amount that you have entered. Is it an opening balance, new issuance of shares, or is it share buy, back, or redemption, all right, of preference shares, all right. Okay. And equity. Okay, for equity, we have also reserve. Alright, then again, you have to decide. You have to decide whether the amount that you have entered, is it for opening balance, is it transfer to, is it the amount that you transfer, okay, to the other reserve, or is it transfer from other reserve? Okay, alright. And then you have here also retained earnings. So the item would be the same, except that for retained earnings, we have more items such as dividend and bonus issue. Because the bonus issue usually is being utilized is by utilizing the retained earnings. Okay, all right. And then also the dividend. Okay, compared to general reserve, we have additional item, which is the dividend here. Okay, and also the bonus issue. All right, what if the item is a liability? Okay, this one is simple. You just have to select between non-current liability and current liability. That's it. Okay, and then revenue. All right, for revenue, we have a different category of revenue. Okay, we have sales, other income, and income from investment. Okay, so you select the item. Okay, you choose the classification of item accordingly. Okay, alright, because why? Because when you refer to the statement of profit or loss, this is the format. You have sale, okay, other income, and also income from investment. Okay, we have three categories of revenue. So you have to choose that transaction that you enter into the list. Is it for sales? Is it other income? Is it income from investment? Okay, similarly for expense. Okay, similarly for expense, you have to decide the classification of expense, because in the statement of profit or loss, we have cost of sale, administrative expenses, distribution cost, and finance cost, and we do have tax expense. So these are the list of expenses. So you have to decide, okay, what type of expenses that you have entered here. Okay, let's say for example, it is an administrative expense. Alright, for depreciation, however, okay, you are required to provide further information. Okay, you have to enter the details depreciation. Because why? Because in the statement of financial position, when you calculate property, plant, and equipment carrying amount, we have to calculate after we deduct the current year depreciation. Okay, so current year depreciation will be part of that year expense. Okay, so you categorize it as expense. Okay, but then you have to decide, okay, which types of expense, and then you have to state that, okay, this is a depreciation, because it will help the template to calculate the carrying amount for property, plant, and equipment. Okay, okay, do we have anything else? Okay, so that's it. Alright, so that's it. Okay, and then what else that you have to do? Nothing. Okay, all you have to do is to enter the transaction, you enter the amount, you classify them, alright, and then you sub-classify them. Alright, and then if you need to provide details, then please provide details. Okay, if you are not sure, alright, then you click here and you will have more information. Okay, details for sub-classification. For the following sub-classification, select the appropriate detail for the transaction to assist in the preparation of financial statements. Meaning that not all items that you not all transactions that you have entered here, okay, would require you to give detail of the item. Okay, only for non-current asset, ordinary share capital, preference share capital, general reserve, retained earnings, administrative expense. Only for depreciation, distribution expense, only for depreciation. Okay, for sub-classification, okay, then you have other information. Okay, for classification, alright, so that's it. Okay, that's it. That's all that you have to do. Alright, that's all that you have to do. You just have to enter the transaction, the amount, classify them, okay, into 5 category of accounting classification: asset, equity, liability, revenue, expense, and then you decide on its sub-classification. If you are required to provide details, then please select the details. That's it. Okay, so we are going to try. Okay, we're going to try, all right, using one question, okay, from past exam question for FAR160. So I choose, okay, December 2019. So I have the question here. How to prepare the financial statements. Okay, how to prepare the financial statements using the information that you have here, okay, in the trial balance. Okay, so for the first part of our discussion, I'm not going to include the adjustment that we have here. Okay, for the first part of the discussion, okay, we are going to first classify whatever that we have here in the trial balance only. Okay, all right, so let's do that. Okay, so I have copied all of this, okay, into the template. All right, this one. Okay, so I have copied into this one. All right, actually I have made adjustment previously, all right, but then I delete the adjustment. Okay, so in case, all right, so in case my statement of financial position, okay, is not balanced, all right, then I'm going to check again. Okay, so let's do that together after this. Okay, if there is some mistake here and there. Okay, all right, so for sales, okay, so these are the information that I copied from, okay, from the question. Okay, so I transfer it here, I paste it here, okay, together with the amounts. All right. Okay, so next is to classify the item. Okay, for sales, sales is a revenue. All right, sales is a revenue. Okay, cost of sale is expense. Ordinary shares is equity. Okay, stop. All right, then sub-classification. Okay, so sub-classification for sales, it is a revenue. Which type of revenue? Sales. Cost of sale, this is an expense. Which types of expense? Cost of sale. Ordinary share, this is an equity. Sub-classification, ordinary share capital. Details, okay. If you are not sure whether or not you have to provide the detail, you simply click here and then you check. Okay, if nothing comes out, so you don't have to provide additional details. If there is something, okay, coming out from here, then you have to choose. Okay, for example, this one. All right, so you have to decide, okay, whether this is an opening balance, issuance, new issuance, or bonus issue, or share buyback. So this is an opening balance. Okay, right. Okay, preference shares, this is an equity. Okay, choose the type, preference share capital. So this is also an opening balance. General reserve, equity. Okay, general reserve, this is an opening balance. Okay, next, interest on loan. So interest on loan is an expense. Okay, so which types of expense for interest on loan? So interest on loan is a finance cost. Okay, all right, and do you have to do you have to provide details further? No. Okay, all right. Okay, before I forgot, all right, before I forgot, okay, so you have to enter the name of the company here, okay, and also the closing date. All right, that's it. Okay, all right, so let's proceed. Income from investment, this is revenue. All right, so this is revenue. Okay, income from investment. Okay, next, interim dividend paid for ordinary dividend. So interim dividend is a payment of dividend somewhere during the year, anytime during the year, usually in the middle of the year. Okay, all right, so interim dividend or dividend, okay, dividend is a distribution of profit, so it relates to equity. Okay, distribution of profits, meaning that it is distributed from the retained earnings. Okay, so what are the details for retained earnings? Dividend. Okay, all right, preference shares, dividend, so equity comes from retained earnings. Okay, to be classified as dividend. All right. Administrative expense. Administrative expense. Okay, is it a depreciation? No, right? So you don't have to choose. Advertisement expense. Selling and distribution costs. Okay, No need detail. Is it a depreciation? No. So you don't have to choose. Freehold land, this is asset. Okay. Which type? Non-current asset. Okay. What type of non-current asset? Property, plant and equipment. Okay, so we're going to do the same for building, motor vehicle, office furniture. Okay. Non-current asset, non-current asset, non-current asset, and all of them are property, plant and equipment. Okay. Alright, so we have come here to accumulated depreciation. So this accumulated depreciation, okay, are related to asset account. Okay, so we're going to put them under asset because it will reduce the asset value or carrying amount at the end of the year. Okay, so this is non-current asset for non-current asset for non-current asset. So the correct category is accumulated depreciation. So the amount of accumulated depreciation here is for the opening balance. Okay, next, auditor's fee. Auditor's fee expense. Okay, admin expense. Alright. Okay, investment. This is an asset. Alright, asset, non-current asset, category investment. Yes. Okay, trade receivable, this is asset. Okay, category current asset. Trade payable, this is a liability. The category is current liability. Inventory, so this is asset. The category is current asset. 7% bank loan. So bank loan is a financial obligation. So this is your liability. And usually for bank loan, we assume that the repayment will take more than one reporting period. So non-current liability. Bank, this is an asset. Current asset. Tax paid. Alright, for tax paid, we are going to classify as expense. Okay, for tax expense. Okay, when we have adjustment later on, then you have to adjust this amount. Okay, retained profit at the beginning of the year, so this is an equity. Retained earnings, okay, retained profits, okay, basically they are the same thing. Alright, so this is for opening balance. Okay, that's all that you have to do. Alright, that's all that you have to do. Now let's see, okay, how the template help you, okay, to prepare the statement. Alright, so this is how they calculate for you the items that you have that you are going to disclose in the statement of profit or loss. Okay, so for admin expense, you have admin expense, auditor fee, distribution cost, you have advertisement, finance cost, you have interest on loan, other income, okay, not relevant. Income from investment, we have income from investment here. Alright, and then what happened to statement of profit or loss? So automatically, okay, the template will calculate, will prepare for you the statement of profit or loss. Okay, so you can see that how they transfer from the trial balance, okay, to the statement. Alright, so next, statement of changes in equity. So this is why you have to provide the details so that the item, okay, will be transferred correctly to statement of changes in equity, okay, for equity accounts. Alright, okay, and next is statement of financial position. Okay, so Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, 41978. 41978. Alright, so the total asset is equal to total equity and liability. So basically we are doing this classification correctly. Okay, alright, so we have here property, plant and equipment, investment. So it depends on your classification. It depends on your classification. If you are able to classify them correctly, then inshallah it will be, okay, it will be transferred to the statement correctly. Okay, so this is what I want to achieve at the end of the day, for the student to see that, okay, if you know the classification, if you have a strong knowledge, okay, fundamentals in classification of accounting, you should not have any problem in preparing the financial statements. Okay, alright, okay, alright, so that's all for the first part of this video. Okay, for the video on how to use the template. Alright, so next I will prepare another video to incorporate all the adjustment okay, for the preparation of financial statements. So thank you.